episode of Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. I am joined by an esteemed crew of Creston, Austin, Brandon, and Mason. Good to have you back, Mason and Creston. Unfortunately, we are down a man today, so that'll make our segment a little bit harder, but that won't be a problem for us because we're professionals. How are you guys doing here today?
Pretty good.
Doing good. Good
Very
weather.
good.
Doing good. You know, it seems like you guys are always doing good.
I mean, as my Falcons, I'm doing better than ever. So
I'm on top of the world as a Titans fan.
Yeah, Mr. Titans fan over there must be going crazy.
Best day of
Big
my life.
news. Big news.
Big news, man. I'm happy for you. I wish I could be in that same boat, but you know. With that being said, we're gonna get right into our obscure sport, which is chess boxing. I don't know. I actually doubt any of you have ever heard of this before.
I actually have. I've seen it.
You're joking.
No, I've
What?
Seen it. I've seen chess boxing.
Same here.
No. What?
I play chess.
Oh my.
I don't.
Okay, so how did you find out about it?
I was just scrolling on YouTube one time. Like
What
just
time
like
of day?
Yeah. it was
What
just,
time of day?
On the sports tab, and I was like, "What is this?" Like I thought it was normal boxing, and then you box, and then you just kind of go sit down.
You like alternate. It's so weird how they have it because it's like a round of boxing and then it's a round of chess, and you either go until a knockout or checkmate. So it's kind of weird how it goes. But what are your thoughts on it, Creston?
I feel like I'm watching like YouTuber boxing, to be honest. Like I just see like a lot of like slapping and kind of throwing their fists around. The video that I watched, this person was one move away from checkmate and they got knocked out.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
So,
that's ooh.
I feel like taking time away from the board, it's kind of like taking time away from a puzzle. When you sit back down, you're like, oh, this, and this. So I feel like it kind of adds like an edge to the loser because they see the board in a different way. And they're like, oh, this is what I need to do differently, and this is what I can do to, gain that advantage.
That's cool. The way that I was kind of thinking about it, now that you'll mention it, is that like if the boxer, like when they're doing the boxing match, they know that they're not gonna win, but they're like supreme like strength, they could just easily knock them out like that and still take it, even though they were outmatched by the chess match. I think that's a cool take on it.
I think it's a perfect combination of like brains versus brawn because like at some point, like you were saying, like what point do you focus solely on chess and gonna just run around the boxing ring, or do you focus solely on boxing and not on chess to just try and knock your opponent out? So it's like a perfect combination of the two. I'm an avid chess player, so I've heard about this before. And 3-minute round of boxing followed by a minute round of chess, and they each have 4.5 minutes on their clock. And if you run out of time, you lose. So just between like going back and forth from boxing to chess and like, say you take a headshot in boxing, you get over, like once was a funny like position on the board, all of a sudden you're like you're so confused. So I love chess boxing. A guy that I watch on YouTube held a chess boxing event who's an avid chess YouTuber. So I've watched that obviously because I'm a nerd. And yeah, it's an awesome sport and I was really glad that we got to talk about it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, do you have a favorite champion? I don't know if you like going that in depth with it, but
not that in
yeah.
I just, like I said, a bunch of YouTuber chess players played it and their boxing was quite pitiful. But I was saying, but like, say you got a guy like Francis Ngannou, right? Deontay Wilder in the heavyweight division. They don't have to know how to play chess. They can just go in and knock the guy out. So like I said, it's like at what point like do you like solely focus on boxing? Do you solely focus on chess? Because you could outclass your opponent on the chessboard, but if you're Francis Ngannou versus a guy who's a 2,500 rated chess player, like he's gonna knock him out in the first 20 seconds. So it's pretty cool concept.
Yeah, the duality is definitely more intriguing.
It's like so different because like one's just all brains and like everyone's already said it's like brains versus brawn. It's like which one do you like? Can you focus on just one? Like you guys said, it's just kind of like a bunch of slapping at this point. But like, what happens if you like bring like a some MMA fighter versus like the best chess nerd? Like, what happens? Like, does the MMA fighter have no clue what he's doing in chess and he just gets knocked out right away?
Yeah.
Versus, like, oh God, the MMA fighter's against this, like, 110-pound guy. Like, clearly the MMA fighter's going to...
At least there are weight classes, so
Yeah.
it's not, like, 100% unfair.
Oh, that's cool.
That's nice to know.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, I would love to see if you could take anyone from all time. I would love to see Albert Einstein go against Conor McGregor for that. I think that would be just insane to watch. But
I'd pay pay-per-view for that.
Yeah.
yeah, you pay for that. I mean, I think anybody would pay for that. Austin, do you have any thoughts on it?
How do you come up with this? Is my question. How do you think, like, you know what? I'm really good at chess, but I can punch people like really good too. Let's combine them both. I don't know. I don't know how people come up with this.
Yeah, there's a lot of sports out there that I feel like are just made up, but they're a real thing. And for the amount of work that goes into it, there's not a lot of credit that's put into it. That's why I kind of like this segment, so that we can bring it out. But with that being said, we're going to get into our main topic of the day, the NFL Mock Draft 3.0. Now, Creston, you're going to start us off with the number 1 pick. It's going to be a snake draft. So it's going to go Creston, Austin, Brandon, Mason, me, and then me again, and then go back around. It's going to be a little bit tricky because the picks that we originally arranged are kind of shifted a little bit. So there might be a little bit of scrambling here and there, but it shouldn't be too hard. So with that being said, the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, the Bears, like you guys were talking about last week, you guys were talking about how the Bears kind of just give up on their quarterback after the rookie contract, and they've just been in this cycle for a while. They'll take Caleb Williams. They'll go through the cycle again. We'll see how it goes this time. Yeah, that's pretty simple there.
So you go Caleb Williams?
Yep.
I pray they don't. I really hope they don't.
Yeah, I literally put unfortunately select Caleb Williams.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, this cycle is just like at some point you just have to give your quarterback weapons and something, so that way you're not just keep going and wasting picks every 4 years on a quarterback.
100% agree.
Have we talked about like how like the front office is kind of like screwed up this whole Justin Fields thing by waiting?
Oh,
'Cause almost
dude,
everybody has a
yeah.
quarterback. now.
Everyone's
Yep.
filled their hole now.
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta,
Everybody.
Pittsburgh,
Like
Vegas.
Vegas is gonna roll with O'Connell versus
Yeah.
Minshew. So they were gonna. Mel Kiper said they were gonna get pick 8 from Atlanta.
Yeah.
That was a long shot at the beginning. Now they might not even get like a day 2 selection.
I have
It's
heard
absurd.
that teams are willing to bring in Fields for a backup role, but what are you going to give up for Justin Fields
Yeah.
as a backup? A sixth?
A
Yeah.
6th and a
Yeah.
5th.
The Bears completely mishandle the situation,
Yeah.
but I think it'll end up being for the better because, in my opinion, they're going to end up taking Marvin now that they can't move Fields. So I would like to see that, and that's what I
Yeah.
wanted from the beginning. So hopefully this debacle that they had will actually work in their favor,
Yeah.
like as just competency from an NFL front offense.
I agree.
With the second pick, I feel like it's pretty obvious. Commanders take Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean,
Wow.
I think Sam Howell isn't as bad as people paint him to be.
Preach.
And I think, again, he's kind of like Bryce Young. You have to give him, like, weapons. I don't know what happened to Terry McLaurin if he just went away, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. then, maybe he'll take more, so it's more of a duo thing, but I think the Commanders should take Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's very interesting because it's already, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the receiving group there is pretty decent with Dotson and McLaurin.
He's just too good to pass up
That's
on.
true.
I mean, yeah,
100%
he
agree.
is, but it's just,
If the Bears do take Caleb Williams,
I don't know.
it's all like with the Justin Fields whole situation that like throws me off a little bit. But if they do take Caleb Williams, I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where you just can't pass up on it.
So are you saying if the Bears take Harrison, the Commanders take Caleb Williams?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just kind of it's a flip flop.
So you're kind of doing like best player available kind of option?
Yeah, those are the best two players.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I think that's the first I've seen Harrison go to the Commanders, so.
That'd be a tremendous weapon for Sam
Yeah.
Howell.
Yeah.
That'd be huge. I honestly feel like he would be a certified top 5 at that point.
Yep.
With that.
It's a
like,
good trio for them.
Yeah, that's a great trio. That
Dotson,
might be
McLaurin,
up there
Harrison.
with, the former Bengals trio.
Yeah.
So pick number 3, I will be drafting the best quarterback in this year's draft class, reigning Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels.
Ooh.
I think, and just in terms of what I've seen, just watching college football, Jaden Daniels is undoubtedly the best quarterback prospect in this draft. I think it's a highly overrated class as a whole. I think pairing Jaden Daniels with the now head coach Gerard Mayo, it's going to be a match made in heaven. And I just firmly believe that him in New England is going to be really, really good as they kind of shift away from this Belichick system quarterback, defense scheme. I think we're going to see this new, really poignant offense from New England, and I think Jaden Daniels is the guy to do it.
Interesting. I mean, hot take, I don't think he should have won the Heisman, but I think I said that earlier this year.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Penix.
I still stand by that. Still stand by
And
that.
I was a Michael Penix believer for Heisman. I 100% agree with you there, but just in terms of raw accolades, you couldn't give it to Penix just because of how much Jaden Daniels did at LSU, and the competition in the SEC is significantly harder than the Pac-12, and Daniels put up stellar numbers around the board, rushing and passing. I believe he's the best quarterback prospect in the draft. I think he's the only quarterback in this draft that'll be a starter in 5 years.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I guess you could kind of say that because when you look back at the 2021 draft, they said that was like one of the best drafts in a long time for quarterbacks, and now only one of them is good.
It just seems every year we always have a generational QB talent like Zach Wilson, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, and we're just like I'm just sick and tired of it. Like quote unquote, like best quarterback prospect since Manning or Trevor Lawrence is the second coming. Like no, but that being said, Daniels, from what I've seen, he passes the eye test in my opinion, and he's gonna greatly transform New England's offense into a powerhouse.
Okay. You swayed me a little bit.
I'm going to completely disagree with your point on the quarterbacks first off. We'll get into that at a later point. But Arizona, I'm intrigued with what Arizona has done in free agency. They haven't really necessarily went big money spending like I thought they would. They really finally addressed their need along the defensive line, signing Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones. Finally got a number one corner, Sean Murphy-Bunting. Comes over from Tennessee, formerly of Tampa. Marquise Brown is still a free agent. I don't necessarily know if he's going to come back. I'm not sure. I've been at work all day, so I don't necessarily know if he's been signed. I haven't seen anything. But
I don't think he
right
has.
Now,
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Right now, their number one wide receiver is Michael Wilson. Really good receiver, in my opinion, from the last draft out of Stanford. Other than that, they really have Greg Dortch, who was kind of a meme last year, along with Rondale Moore, who's been a subject of some trade rumors. So because of that, I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors.
I
the wide
knew he was
receiver
going to
out of
go.
LSU.
I knew it.
Very fast. Obviously, he didn't run in the combine. Not sure if he's going to run at his pro day, but if Brian Thomas can run like a 4.34, then I think Malik Neighbors can run those mid to high 4.2s. Get you a deep threat weapon and a go ball anytime. Anytime he touches the ball, there's going to be a threat for a score, which Arizona needs. I honestly would not be shocked, because Arizona does have a pick in the later of this mock draft, if Arizona could potentially sneak in as a wild card team next year.
Okay. See, I like that you chose Malik Neighbors there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that the Cardinals need to fix. That's definitely a good step in the right direction. I just hope that Kyler Murray can stay consistent for once. They have, I liked their pick last year with Paris Johnson.
Yep.
But yeah, they have a long way to go before they're in it again. Now, for the fifth pick, the Chargers.
Lots of different directions.
Yeah.
So many ways you could go here.
Yeah,
New
there's,
coach, everything.
I mean, there's two that I'm looking at right now, and one of them you would hate me for.
I have a guess.
Do it.
I think I might have to do it. Because, okay, see, tight end was kind of a big thing for them. Like, that was a big hole. But who did they sign? Did they get Disley or
Let me look it
Parkinson?
up. I got it
Because I
up right
forget.
now.
I know
think
they both
Disley
went
went
to
to the
LA
Chargers.
teams.
I think it's Disley. I got it
Disley?
right now.
Okay, see, Disley's up there in age, and I feel like
Correct,
if they get Brock Bowers, that would be a good two-way for the tight end. But I think I'm gonna go Joe Alt,
Ooh, boy.
just because I think he's the best offensive lineman in this draft.
Hands down.
You can't pass up on him. That's a big thing that they needed to fix. So I'll easily take them for the Chargers. And for the Giants, I knew Malik Neighbors was going to go. That's why I had this guy going there, Rome Odunze. I think me personally, I think he's the second best receiver in this draft. I mean, the way he can catch the ball is just insane. He's pretty fast, and he's definitely going to be the number one receiver on this team day one because they really don't have anybody. I've never really been impressed with their receivers, so I feel like this immediately makes an impact with them, especially because their offense in general is just lackluster. They couldn't get anything going with Darren Waller. Saquon Barkley is now gone, and their receivers, like I said, are just so inconsistent. Then after receiver, the biggest offensive hole would probably have to be quarterback. I'm not convinced with Daniel Jones. I know they said that they're going to stick with Daniel Jones for quite a bit, but I don't see him being there within 2 years. I think, I really like the DeVito run. I really like that run. I thought that was impressive, and it was a step in the right direction, but then he sucked towards the end. So, Rome Odunze at 6. Number 7.
So Tennessee, they're looking really good if the year is 2020. Sorry to say that. But Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tony Pollard, 2020 it's good. But I know you've got expectations as a Titans fan, but in all seriousness, very glad to see that they finally got the number. I don't even necessarily know what to call it, like a number 2 maybe, because Burks hasn't really been anything. And I was a Burks fan coming out. Looking at it overall, I would have necessarily said tackle was their biggest need, which I still think it is. Another thing I would not necessarily be surprised if they do is take a corner. They did sign Cheeto Awuzie. They still have Caleb Farley, who's been injury prone, hasn't lived up to that first round hype. But you did with why am I blanking? Which one's the head coach? It's
We
not
just
Bill.
signed Brian Callahan.
Okay, Bill Callahan is the offensive line coach, one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. I'm going to go with Olu Fashanu at number 7. He does need some work. He's got a lot of upside, and a guy like Bill Callahan can get that out of him. I feel like that pairing with right now, why is it saying that? Who'd they take? They took a tackle last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Skoronski. But then he
He's
moved
not on
to
there.
guard, I believe.
Okay, he's at guard. So they need a tackle because
100%.
Dillard is not a good left tackle. Radunes is fine. I'm just glad they aren't trotting out NPF anymore, Nicholas Petit-Frere. But tackle is
Or Aaron
definitely
Brewer.
one of their biggest needs. I'm really excited to see if they do take a Fashanu because he needs to add strength. He kind of got beat up a little bit in the Big Ten this year, and now he's going up against NFL competition. So I feel like a guy like Bill Callahan can get the most out of it.
I so agree with that, and I actually had them taking Fashanu as well. So really like that pick. There was more I was going to say on that, but I'm blanking at the moment. So we're going to go to number 8, the Falcons.
Yeah, so real quick, if Alt does go before, Alt's
Yeah.
the dream guy for the Titans. Fashanu is the tackle that I would want to take. I'd still want to go O-line, even if Alt's gone. Even Titans fans want to address skill positions. I think offensive line is priority number 1. So I 100% want to say I agree with the pick. I'm torn between 2 guys right now for Atlanta. I think they've solved, at least for the most part, their offensive what they need to do. They've addressed the quarterback situation. They have tremendous weapons to go with Kirk. Now I think they need to start focusing on defense, especially with now a defensive-minded head coach. I'm torn between 2 guys, but if I have to flip a coin and pick one right now, I'm going to go with Dallas Turner from Alabama.
Oh, man.
Edge rusher.
Really wanted him to go.
Was there any thought to Jared Verse there?
That was
instead?
the coin flip.
Okay.
That was it
Oh.
was so Jared Verse and Dallas Turner. I had 2 phenomenal edge rushers. Both had great years this past year. Turner at Bama, Verse at Florida State. Like I said, it's honestly a coin flip to go with who. I slightly, just because of SEC bias, is the reason I went with Dallas Turner, because you see more Alabama NFL players than any other college. So kind of the reason that I give it to Dallas Turner there. Like I said, they're both great in their own right. I could see them going either way. But in this mock, I'm going to have them select Dallas Turner.
So the only reason why I bring that up is because last year Verse was probably going to be a top 10 pick
Yes, I was
anyways,
just gonna say that too,
and
yeah.
I feel like Atlanta would have been the spot last year, and I heard a bunch of rumors that said that he was the pick. And then he went back to school.
Ooh.
That's the only reason. Obviously, things changed with like a guy like Dallas Turner coming out, but obviously last year's edge class, it comes out with Tyree Wilson as the number 2 guy instead of Verse, so that caused some issues, but yeah.
Like I said, I could see him going either direction here. I definitely think they are going to go defense because they really, like I said, addressed all offensive concerns for the time being. They have a defensive-minded head coach, and I think Dallas Turner's too good of an edge rusher to pass up on.
Yeah,
for
that
the
dude's a
Falcons.
freak.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just some of the plays that he made at Bama this year against SEC competition was just absurd. 6'4", 242, 10 sacks on the season, and a very, very competitive SEC. Dallas Turner at 8.
Now, would you compare Dallas Turner to Will Anderson?
I could see the comparison. I think Will Anderson's a little bit better, but I could see Dallas Turner's ceiling becoming that of like Will Anderson's second or third year in the league.
I could see that too.
As a Falcons fan, I think that'd be perfect. If Grady Jarrett comes back, you have your interior. Calais Campbell's probably not coming back.
No, he's that guy's hanging up the cleats.
Gone.
He's gotta be.
Gone.
But I think that would be perfect little hole to fill. For the Bears, I'm going offensive line. They need an offensive lineman. I'm going to take... This is tough. I'm going to take... How do you say his name?
Is it Talize?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Fuaga.
I'm going to
Fuaga.
take him. He's dominant. I mean, he's huge, and I feel like they just need size. The Bears need anything, and I think that's a great start. And, once you start getting those pieces, then if you keep Fields, he actually has time to throw the ball. So,
Yeah, that's a good foundation. I think their offensive line has been a problem for years, and addressing it here is good. But personally, I would have went with a receiver just because they lost Mooney. So they already barely had any receivers, and now they literally only have more. So you really can't go wrong at 9. I mean, that definitely fixes one of their biggest things, and hopefully that'll give Fields another chance, like you said, to actually throw the ball, or if not, give him a good running lane. But I don't know. There's just so much that they need to fix.
Yeah, for the Jets, I think you got to go offensive line here. Aaron Rodgers coming back off that injury. You just need something here. I am between Latham or Fatanu here. I think I am going to go Fatanu. I just feel like watching him be able to kind of pick up the pass blocking, being able to kind of use his power. He's 6'4", 317, so obviously that big guy. They did just make that move for Morgan Moses today, which I think is also very important.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it is. It's a very good deal. Obviously, you have Vera Tucker at guard. You do have Becton, so I feel like Fatanu can learn from Becton. So overall, I just feel like they need offensive line help.
Yeah, and there was I can't remember exactly, but I think last year they were talking about moving Becton.
Yeah.
Because he was so injury prone. So I feel like the transition between Becton to Fatanu would be extreme for them. So I like that pick, especially that you brought up the Aaron Rodgers. I think that'll be. I feel like any time that your quarterback gets a season-ending injury, you have to address the O-line in the draft.
And especially watching what he can do when he has time to throw the ball is important.
100.
Yeah.
Yep.
100% agree.
Yeah, so I personally love that pick. So rounding out the top 10 picks, just a quick review. Williams at number 1, Harrison at 2, Daniels at 3, Neighbors at 4, Alt at 5, Odunze at 6, Fashanu 7, 8 is Turner, 9 is Talise,
Yep.
and then Fatanu at 10. I think that's a pretty good top 10, to be honest. Although the top 5, I feel like could have been Brock Bowers. Now that I think about it, but that's a discussion for a later date. We're gonna keep going with the draft here with number 11, the Vikings.
Yeah.
Do it.
I mean, Drake May's sitting here.
Oh my gosh, how is he still there?
Yeah, you got to take Drake May if he's there. I will say, though, Dallas Turner or Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, the corner from Toledo, are my 2 dream guys if we don't get a quarterback. Dallas Turner, obviously, freak, like we said. Quinyon Mitchell's just, they need corner help really bad.
So you're sticking with Drake May?
Yes, Drake May.
Man, a lot of people are saying that he's like Mason Rudolph, but less accurate and more athletic. So if he actually turns out like that, that's just wasted potential for him, man.
I mean, going into a situation like Minnesota with the weapons you have, I feel like that's one of the perfect opportunities for a rookie quarterback to show off what they really Like
Yeah.
you'll know within year 2 or 3 if they're good or not with all the weapons. that
Yeah.
they have. So,
And that was a huge signing to get Aaron Jones, too.
Yeah.
Like, immediately one of the better backfields in the division, I say, personally.
For the Broncos, I think they should take J.J. McCarthy.
There we go.
What,
That is the
dude?
definition
There we
of a
go.
Broncos
What
pick.
are you...
that's what I had in my notes.
There we
That's what I
go.
think. I feel like that would fit Sean Payton's offense. And obviously, they have had really bad problems with quarterbacks recently. So
And they'll only continue.
I think they should take a gamble on J.J. McCarthy, though.
I don't think he's that bad.
Sean Payton loves his Big Ten quarterbacks.
Dude, there was a crazy stat in the championship. Didn't he only throw the ball like 4 times or something?
Did you look at the Washington defense? What they were
I
running?
mean,
in?
yeah, but... geez.
I would have ran the ball too.
If J.J. McCarthy was the quarterback at South Carolina, he'd go undrafted. The only reason that he's considered to be a first-round prospect is
Perfect
because he won a
system.
national championship.
And the
I
perfect system.
Yeah, and I mean, great defense and great running backs. I want J.J. McCarthy to go to the Broncos so bad because of my dislike for Sean Payton and my dislike for J.J. McCarthy as a first-round prospect. It's a match made in heaven to watch their demise.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
This is the range I'd take him because he's mobile.
Yeah.
He can go through progressions, unlike some other quarterbacks in this class, and I feel like he's got a decent arm. He's got to work on his where he places the ball, but his accuracy is decent. I feel like a guy like a Sean Payton or necessarily specifically a Kevin O'Connell, which I think is potentially a more realistic scenario because Minnesota doesn't have a quarterback. I'll probably say Minnesota trades up to take McCarthy as of right now, personally. But I don't think he's that bad. I feel like this is a bit overblown.
Oof.
Strongly disagree.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
we can go back and forth.
I mean, like I said, we won't know until it happens.
Yeah.
But he's not a day one starter. I just don't think he's an NFL quarterback.
He's definitely going to have a rough start considering...
The division.
Yeah, and plus what he's working with. I mean, their running backs have changed so much that I don't even know who's the starter anymore.
Still Javante, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's-
But that injury really derailed
Yeah, it
him.
really brought
Which
him
is a
down.
bummer because I really like Javante
Yeah.
Williams.
They have
too.
Yeah.
Samaje Perine, I believe. Is
Oh,
their backup.
that's... Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
And McLaughlin too. Yeah, he's decent.
Jalen McLaughlin's a dog.
Yeah, I feel like if he goes there, he's already set up for disaster. And then, like, the mindset that everybody has for him going into the draft, it's not going to help. I mean, yeah, he'll have Mims and Sutton, but that does seem like the spot. I would say anywhere from 12 to 13 is probably the range that he would go. Speaking of 13,
13th pick. Looking
Yeah.
at 13. With the 13th pick in the NFL draft, now head coach, formerly interim head coach, Antonio Pierce will go defense and select Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback. In my opinion, the best corner in the draft. Ran a 4.3 40, was targeted only 63 times the entirety of last season, only gave up 290 yards as a corner, and no touchdowns in this past year at Toledo. And you can, make the argument all you want, the competition. His raw skill set, his size, 6 foot, 4.3 40, insane. Really like what I've seen from him as a corner. And he also displayed a lot of different plays throughout the year of stopping the run, which is a great skill set to have at a corner. Usually you focus on man-to-man, zone coverage, pass schemes. But his ability to read the run immediately and make some really big tackles at Toledo this year was really, really well done. I think he's a freak athlete, and I think he's the best corner in the draft. And I see the Raiders going secondary.
They need it.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, their defense was just. I don't even know what was worse between their offense and their defense.
Their D-lines,
Their D-line is
D-line's
carrying.
so good
Their
now.
D-line is carrying their
I
whole
love the
team.
D-line
but that
now.
secondary is not where it needs to be. Antonio Pierce is a strong. I think Antonio Pierce is a tremendous hire. Great defensive-minded coach. They do need to address some, offensive sides of the football. But after signing Minshew, I don't think they go quarterback here. I think they're going to be kind of set with the Minshew versus O'Connell battle, and then if it kind of fizzles out, then they go QB in, say, a year or two. Because, a lot of people are like, oh, they need a quarterback. Like, you just signed Minshew. I disagree. I think you got to bolster up your defense and have, those two quarterbacks go after it. And like I said, my humble opinion, Quinyon Mitchell's the best corner in the draft, and they take him at 13.
All right.
I could see them taking a shot at Penix, maybe in round 2 or moving up to get the 5th year. potentially.
If
Back up to the
Penix is
first.
there round 2, I
Yeah.
could see the Raiders.
Oh,
winning.
dude, if
Yeah.
Penix is there round 2, I feel like just about anybody's going to give him a shot. I mean, he's better. I could potentially see him as a late first rounder. Like, he's that good.
I hate drafting for New Orleans so much because they need there's like no talent on this team outside of like Olave. So like
There's just so
Oh,
many.
you
There's
have
so
no
many.
hope in Kamara anymore?
he's old.
He's
What?
I like Kendra Miller too, and obviously Ramchick took a big pay cut today. They signed Willie Gay as a linebacker.
I'm upset about that.
Honestly, not sure why they needed it, to be honest, because Monty Rice was decent. I'm not going to go DB because that they have a really good secondary. I'm looking along the trenches here, and for me, a guy like Trevor Penning, who a lot of people saw this not working out in the first place, at left tackle, I'm going to go J.C. Latham here for the Saints, getting an upgrade over Penning. I thought about maybe a defensive lineman or an edge rusher. They've put a lot of resources into that. Both their first and second round picks last year. It was Brian Brzee and Isaiah Foskey were spent on the D-line, so I'm going to transition to the O-line for this year.
I like it. See, Trevor Penning, I knew wasn't going to be great. I knew it. I mean, he had an attitude problem. It was said that the Seahawks were going to get him. So glad we didn't get him because of that reason. So, I mean, I think Latham's a good pick for the Saints there. Now for the Colts. Oh, my gosh.
So
How
many
is Brock
directions.
Bowers still here, man? This is just... That's blasphemous. I kind of want to just take him because it's best player available for them, but
I mean, they kind of do need a tight end. Like, they don't need it
Yeah.
badly, but
Mo Alley Cox was sufficient.
yeah,
Yeah.
They got like 2, 6, 7 tight ends. It's awesome. Jelani Woods too.
yeah, but if you put like Bowers with Pittman, Taylor, and
Anthony
and,
Richardson.
yeah, and
Josh
A. Rich,
Downs,
yeah,
yeah.
I think.
Not pressuring you to pick, but
No,
I think you have to go best available.
Yeah, I was going to because their biggest needs, like,
Corner.
yeah, Dijon is there too, but I think Bowers is just the guy for that pick. I have to go best player available because he's a generational tight end and he falls to
100%.
15. Realistically, I feel like he goes top 5. Realistically.
yeah.
Now for the Seahawks.
He lucked into getting his own team. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, what are the odds of that? Hey, I mean, it's
You would have had
fate.
him either way.
No, actually, I would have had the.
No, you wouldn't have. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I would have had the Jags and Bengals. So, or the Bengals and Rams. Sorry, but what are
Things
the odds
happen.
of this?
Things happen.
I've thought about this pick multiple days for multiple times. So the fact that Dijon is there is very tempting. Although I don't feel like we need a cornerback that bad.
Not right now.
Newton is a guy that a lot of people see us getting. We definitely need trench help, although with Leonard Williams, I feel like that's fine. We didn't get a single linebacker yet. I think that's criminal, although none are worth there's none worth for the first round, so I'm not going to say that. I'm torn between Jared Verse and Murphy, to be honest, because I wanted Verse last year because, as Mason, you were saying, he was projected like a top 10 pick last year, and he's still about that. I mean, we desperately need trench help, so I think, oh, man, that's so tough. No, I'm actually going to go Newton. I'm going to go Newton because I feel like the stopping the run is more important for us than getting to the quarterback. We've just year after year have had one of the worst run defenses. This year we had a decent one, but towards the end it plummeted. So I feel like Newton there is definitely going to cause havoc for us.
Was there any thought to taking Jackson Powers Johnson there?
No.
No.
There was not. Because I've been set in stone about this pick being D-line.
D-line?
I just want D-line, and it was really only between Newton and Murphy for the most part because I never really thought that Verse would fall to 16, but
Okay.
yeah.
Jacksonville could take a receiver here because Calvin Ridley's gone. But
He sure is.
obviously Jacksonville spent some weird money on some receivers, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Zay Jones in recent years, and might see Zay Jones as a potential cap casualty here in about a week. They signed Devin Duvernay. That might be as like a more of a kick returner guy. Parker Washington's a decent option from like a 5th-round pick standpoint. O-line I could talk about here as well. I'm not going to go that route. Looking at the secondary, they did add Darnell Savage at safety, as well as Ronald Darby at corner. They do have Tyson Campbell as their true number 1 corner. I'm going to say that Darby's going to be kind of that mentor to both Tyson Campbell and Terrion Arnold. Is going to be the pick there. I feel like Jacksonville desperately needs corner. If Quinyon Mitchell was there, he would have obviously been the pick. But I'm going to go with Terrion Arnold there to set up a perfect tandem with Tyson Campbell and Terrion Arnold with some help with Andre Sisco. And hopefully Darnell Savage gets back to what he once was at safety.
Over Dijon?
I don't think he
Wow.
matches the system very well.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I like the pick. I'm not really high on Dijon at all. So I'm a really big fan of them going secondary here. For the Bengals at 18, I really had my eyes on Latham and stole my pick there. But that being said, I still think they have to go O-line. Priority number 1 right now is protecting Joe Burrow. Having been 2 season-ending injuries now and 4 years as a starting quarterback, is just not great to start your career thus far. So I believe they go Amarius Mims from Georgia, tackle.
He's so big.
He is a large gentleman, 6'7", 340 pounds, and you really can't go wrong. Like I said, I'm hinting at this a lot throughout my picks, but SEC bias, you really can't go wrong with a Georgia offensive lineman, more than likely a 5-star recruit out of high school, and just on raw size and just intangibles alone, with some proper coaching in that system, I mean, just 6'7", 345, you can't teach size, and with as much strength as he displayed, with as powerful as Georgia's run been, as his 2 years and the past 2 years of him starting, I think the Bengals go tackle. Like I said, Latham was the pick temporarily.
I had them
but
too.
Mims is more than suitable as a second option for them.
I actually had J.C. Latham as well going to the Bengals. Although, did you have any consideration for a receiver there now that they're kind of in a hole?
Not really. Like I said, in my opinion, with the Bengals, number 1 concern, absolutely, undoubtedly, is protecting Burrow. Like I said,
Yeah.
you just can't have a guy who's supposed to be your generational QB talent have 2 season-ending injuries in 4 years. I don't care who you are. If this is the guy that you want to be the face of your franchise, you got to protect him. Offensive linemen are criminally underrated in the NFL as a whole because they're just not flashy as the QBs, the wide receivers, the running backs. And I think Mims is more than suitable there at 18.
I also think looking at Burrow's injuries too, like it's at 2 different parts of his body.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
hand injury and a knee injury, that's like the 2 most important parts of your quarterback's body. So
Yeah.
I definitely agree with protecting Burrow, especially with Orlando Brown on that left side.
I mean, you could make a case for wide receiver, but I mean, you already have Jamar, and now there's
Yeah.
all these speculations about like reuniting the LSU trio with getting Jefferson and stuff like that. Like, even if you lose Higgins, I think they're going to either restructure a contract with Higgins and lose Boyd, or if they do end up trading Higgins, I think they're going to re-sign Boyd. I think they keep one or the other. So their wide receivers are really fine. Their tight end situation is kind of gross. I would have taken Bowers if he would have fallen to 18. But besides that, go O-line.
Just thinking of that, man. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
They also got 2 young guys that they drafted last year in Charlie Jones and Andre Yosevas. So, I mean, they're prepared for it if Higgins were to go and already Tyler
Yeah,
Boyd.
they were
Right.
probably expecting it because they want to be all hands on deck for Jamar. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's just crazy to think about that. There's like 6 tackles taken of the 18 picks so far. I mean, this is a really, really deep offensive line draft.
And it's like I said, it's not flashy, but offensive linemen just
Yep.
make NFL teams. I don't care how much skill and talent you have to protect your best players. It doesn't matter. That's why all these quarterbacks that get drafted top 5 end up, falling out because they're either injured or don't have any time to throw the ball. I still have faith in like Daniel Jones even because he's been injured, yes, but I mean he has 2.02 seconds to throw the ball on average. So I mean like it doesn't matter who you're throwing it to. So that being said, Mims is a more than suitable player to protect Burrow, and like I said, it's not their guy right now, but it's still more than fine.
All right. Off to number 19.
For the Rams, I am going to take Cooper DeJean.
Oh, there he goes. Ugh, yuck.
The plan was to get him all the way to Green Bay. That's disappointing.
I mean, the Rams, since Jalen Ramsey, they haven't really had a number 1 corner, like a good corner. I mean, he's 6'1", 207. He's a big guy, and I think he could really kind of not somewhat lead, I guess, but he would be a really good addition to the Rams' already good defense.
I mean, yeah, I definitely think they're going to go defense there. Corner, maybe not. I could definitely see them going D-line. I mean, yeah, when Dijon is there, take him.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a given for them. So you got to take him there. But I don't know. I feel like if they were to pair up somebody with, I believe, Kobe Turner, I think that'd be great because he was a stud last year. He was a
So good.
stud rookie, like surprisingly too. So if they were to able to pair up that and get ready for Aaron Donald going away, I think. I mean, that's if Cooper DeJean isn't there.
Yeah, exactly.
If
It's
that's
just-
only if he's not
If
there.
he's there, I mean, it's one of those things,
Yeah.
again, you have to take him.
You have to take him. So yeah, I mean, personally, I like the pick. Well, will it happen? Probably not, but anything can happen.
So for the Steelers, I see 3 glaring holes here. Their center is Ryan McCollum. I don't even know who that is. Exactly. Behind George Pickens, now with Deontay gone, you have Denzel Mims, who's shown flashes, but you have Kelvin Austin and Marquez Callaway. At corner, which I think I'm going to end up going with, you have Joey Porter, but then after that, you just got Dante Jackson. But after that, you have Corey Trice Jr. and Darius Rush. Yeah, exactly. I think the best corner available right now is Nate Wiggins
Yes.
out of Clemson.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Okay.
I feel like center, this is such a loaded offensive line class. You can snag a day 2 or 3 guy.
So
Yep.
loaded.
And then wide receiver, again, super loaded. So I feel like you can address those needs elsewhere.
I personally love the Nate Wiggins pick. He's my favorite cornerback in the draft. I mean, he's definitely one of the fastest guys, can cover a lot. And yeah.
So for the Dolphins, I feel like they need. I mean, their defense got absolutely shredded in free agency. We do have Byron Murphy still sitting here, but I don't know. I just feel like going offensive line for Tua is important. So I'm going to go with Graham Barton out of Duke.
Barton.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. He is 6'5", 314. He's more of a run game type guy, which, I mean, you have Achane and Mostert, which is perfect. But also having a run blocker like that, he can move anywhere on the offensive line with the ability like that. So I feel like that's also important.
Okay. Another tackle off the board. What is that, 7 now?
There's a lot.
Jeez, man. This has to be the deepest
Yeah,
O-line
it's
class
insane.
in years. Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. I mean, that guy, Barton flew under my radar, to be honest. I mean, I didn't have him going to the Dolphins, but I mean, they do need O-line, so it's a good pick. It's just crazy.
I think he's like a top 15 pick in like most other
There's a-
draft
In
classes.
most, yeah, but this one's just so deep that he just flew under my radar.
I also will think it'll be interesting if Bowers is there to see if the
Yep.
Dolphins trade up over the Bengals.
Well, they just got Jonnu, so he's
Yeah,
McDaniel's building that track team still because
Yeah.
Jonnu's so quick too.
yeah.
Right.
For the Eagles, I am going to take Nate Wiggins. Cornerback.
He's gone.
just went-
He's
okay.
gone. He
He
went
went-
to the
okay.
Steelers, man.
I'm going to go.
If you pick who I think you're going to pick, man.
Do it.
If you pick who I think you're going to pick.
I'm going to go Tyler Nubin.
Okay, that is
Okay.
not at all who I thought you were going to pick.
Safety.
Safety,
Yeah.
first one off the board.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, offense, they don't really need anything there. So, I mean, they've had struggles with defensive. I guess they're kind of like their backfield back there. So, Tyler Nubin would be a really good addition to help. He's just a big guy.
Do you think he's better than Kinchins?
Yeah.
Yeah? I don't know. I kind of, I mean, yeah, Kinshin's kind of regressed after the combine, but I still have him number 1. I still have him as the number 1 safety.
I thought he was going Kool-Aid.
I thought he was too.
I was thinking about it, but I just,
The injury.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Whew. There's a lot of ways I can go here
Yeah.
at 23. I really wanted to make a splash with this Texans pick. I really, really wanted to make a splash. I won't say his name, but I was really, really looking forward to getting him. But just in terms of right now, who's still on the board, from Texas, I got to go Byron Murphy.
That's
I-
insane.
There you go. I knew it.
It's crazy.
That's a given.
In this particular mock that he's dropped this far, I really would like to see, even though I'm pretty anti-Houston as a Titans fan, I would love them to see go wide receiver. Their top two wide receivers right now are Robert Woods and Noah Brown. And, I mean, for your generational QB talent and CJ Stroud, you really need to have a true wide receiver one, which
Oh.
I don't think any of those guys.
You don't have any faith
You
in
don't have Nico?
in
Nico
Dell
Collins?
or
Uh,
Nico?
I'm Nico Collins has been pretty solid as of last year, but I think they can get even better than that. And then Tank Dell, I was really high on. I don't think he's going to be the same after that injury. I think they misused him. I was really thinking about taking either Brian Thomas or Xavier Worthy there, but with Byron Murphy still being on the board, to pair him now with Daniil Hunter, who was a tremendous signing for them. If he falls this far, I don't think the Texans can pass up on him. It just makes their interior defensive line that much greater, and that team's scary on paper.
Yeah, Hunter,
Yeah.
Murphy, and Will
Yeah.
Anderson
Yeah.
at D-line.
Dude.
And then
That's
Stingley in the secondary. That defense is insane for D'Amico Ryans. That offense is already great so long as CJ Stroud's the QB there. But yeah, if Murphy falls to 23, that interior defensive line for Houston just becomes that much
insane.
better, and just wow, that's a scary team to look
Yikes!
at.
And to have a team go from like second worst in the league to, I mean, being a potential contender, it's just crazy. And then you're adding on like a high talent guy like Murphy, dude. I don't know what I'm gonna do if this actually happens. Like if he goes there and he's paired with that defensive line, I'm probably gonna scream.
So, Dallas, I was wondering why I was kind of quiet today. It's because the Cowboys haven't made any signings yet this free agency period.
We're going all in, says
Yeah,
Jerry Jones.
yeah, no signings. Other than a long snapper. Can't forget them. Looking at the roster, I feel like their defense is kind of set, although they did lose Dan Quinn. They brought in Mike Zimmer, so I feel like that unit's going to kind of be better. Mozzie Smith's going to finally be used correctly, in my opinion. Looking at the offense, though, you could potentially see them go wide receiver. I know there's some trade rumors around Michael Gallup. They took Jalen Tolbert a few years ago. He's kind of a decent player, role player. Running back is a mess right now. I'm not going to take one in the first round. But what does Jerry Jones like to do? What do the Cowboys like to do? They like to load up on the offensive line. Looking along their offensive line, Tyler Smith at left tackle, sure. Looking at their interior, TJ Bass, I do not know who that is. I do know who Brock Hoffman is, their starting center. He's from Virginia Tech. Draft geek coming in handy there. But center, Jackson Powers Johnson is going to go to the Dallas Cowboys. Tyler Biadasz went to Washington, if I'm correct.
Yep.
So they have a glaring hole there at center, and I'm going to fill that right here with potentially, in my opinion, probably one of the best offensive line prospects in this draft.
Good pick. Good pick. How did I get the Packers too? What the heck?
Rigged.
Yeah. Man, oh man. Jared Verse is still there, which is, and Latu. Dude, there's some guys that have just been falling down. I don't know if I'm going to pick them. Kool-Aid, where's Kinchins though? Kinchins is down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's
He's
ranked
down.
like
Wow.
81.
He's, yeah.
All right.
The combine kind of
See-
didn't do so well for him.
Personally, I feel like the biggest thing the Packers need is
Another
safety.
safety.
Yeah. I love D-backs, so that could be a little bit biased. Having said that, I don't want to abuse the power of best available, but I don't know. It's really tough between Latu and Verse for this pick. Because there's no really good running backs. Because I'm not really convinced with the Josh Jacobs signing. I don't think that's going to be that's going to fill it completely. But there's no good running backs for a round one.
No.
You could even take a tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could, but
It's a very odd team to pick for.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just because there's stuff that they need, but it's like, what are
Not
you gonna
first
do
round.
here? Yeah, that's like all you could get in the second round. So they could trade this pick. I'm not going to, but I guess I'll go tackle just because they got rid of Bakhtiari and they got to fill that hole with somebody young. So I'm gonna go Guyton. Yeah, it just feels wrong to leave Verse there though. I don't know.
Yeah, this is crazy how far he's fallen.
Yeah, it's almost unrealistic how far he's fallen. Like he's projected. I mean, he's ranked 18
He
here.
could go 9. He could go 8 or 9.
He could.
He really
could definitely see it. I don't see him going past 16. I don't.
Agreed 100%. Like I said, I mean, I was coin flipping with him for the Atlanta pick back at 8, and he's still here now at 26. But Guyton, to your point for Green Bay there, once again, 6'7", 328, Oklahoma. I mean, this offensive line, like yet another tackle taken off. I know we've been prefacing that.
Yeah,
but
it's.
I mean, another guy who I believe could easily be a top 10 pick in any other year's draft. But this offensive line class in general is just really, really, really fun to see.
It really is. And oh my gosh, I get the Bucks too. Okay, well this one's a lot easier. This one I'm just gonna take Verse.
Yeah. Okay.
This
Yeah,
one's
that makes sense.
That one's hands down. I feel like they definitely need some pressure on defense there. We already talked about him quite a bit, so there's not really much else to say, but he's definitely a talented individual for the defensive line there.
So I guess I get both Arizona picks, which is
Oh,
nice.
hey, how about that? Lucky
Mr.
you.
Cardinals GM.
Yeah. Monty Austin call me. But looking at the board, obviously we took Malik Neighbors at 4. Their two biggest needs to me are edge and corner. So I'm between two guys here. Their head coach, Jonathan Gannon, comes from Philadelphia, where they do like to spend a ton of resources along the defensive line, specifically at edge rusher. I'm going to break that a little bit here, though. I'm a person that really likes to, just like you, load up on the defensive backs. So I'm going to pair Sean Murphy Bunting up with Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yes, man, yes.
Personally, I probably would have went Kool-Aid for the Packers, but
I was thinking about it.
But I feel like Arizona, they've needed corner for so long. They've needed edge for so long too. But corner, just to pair, you got a decent trio. You kind of got some good safeties now. You took B.J. Ojolari in the second round last year. You got another pick coming up here at the early part of the second round. You can fill that need there.
I like that, and I was thinking about him going to the Packers, but it just kind of slipped my mind towards the end because I was just so focused on my top guys there. But I do like that pick, and I'm kind of regretting that I didn't take him to the Packers because the more I think about it, the more that would be a better matchup with him and Alexander. Regret,
Yeah,
but still, that's a good pick.
Great pick. Buffalo just lost Gabe Davis. I think Stephon Diggs should be on the way out from Buffalo.
Yep.
That being said, they need to address the need at wide receiver, and this guy being there at 28 would be a dream for Buffalo. I'm going to take Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, 6'4", and ran a 4.3 40-yard dash. Just a great big body wide receiver, and really kind of got overshadowed by Malik Neighbors at LSU because Malik Neighbors was really, really good, but Brian Thomas was more than capable of being a wide receiver 1 for a majority of the SEC schools. I think if he falls that far to 28, the Bills have to take him there, address a hole. And like I said, 6'4", 4'3", the accolades are there. He's tremendous in that offense with Jaden Daniels. I think Buffalo would be more than happy to get Brian Thomas Jr. there.
I thought about him with Jacksonville's pick earlier too.
That might be my favorite pick in the whole draft, Brian Thomas to the Bills. I love that.
I mean, you could make the case for O-line as well, protecting Allen, because sometimes he just runs around like a chicken with his head cut off, and you got to protect your quarterback. But like I said, not being able to re-sign Gabe Davis, which the Jaguars way overpaid for, but story for another day.
We agree on something. Whoa.
For the once. But yeah, no, Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 1. I don't think Stephon Diggs is going to be in Buffalo much longer. I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded halfway through the season if they're not quite to expectations. But Brian Thomas Jr., it can be a more than capable wide receiver 2, and his ceiling is that of a wide receiver 1. And with Josh Allen, 6 foot, like I said, 6'4", 4'3", can't stress that enough. Raw intangibles, you can't deny it. Brian Thomas at 28.
Love it.
For the Lions, I like my cornerbacks too. I'm going to go Rakestraw Jr. from Missouri. I mean, he's a really good, he's kind of an off coverage corner. he's got really high IQ, and I feel like the Lions always can use better D-backs. I mean, they have a lot, like obviously with Aiden Hutchinson on the line and everything. I think they could fill one more hole with a good DB.
And they did just lose Gardner Johnson, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
That as well.
They did grab Carlton Davis too, so
Yeah,
adding
so-
another corner opposite him is going to be a big priority for them to move Cam Sutton into the slot where he's more, should be.
So I have the Ravens and the 49ers, and both these teams are tough. I mean, like, the Ravens need a receiver, yes, but Latu is just sitting there.
Wow. Dude, that's so crazy.
That's literally
What?
all that the Ravens
And-
do every
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Every year.
Because their other D end besides Matabuke is Broderick Washington. So I don't know. I just feel like if Latu's sitting there, you have to.
It's the best available
Yeah.
at that point.
Oh my gosh, that. Ugh,
I think in our other mock that I did, I think he went as high as 9
Yeah.
Latu.
Wow.
So that's just crazy for
Yeah.
him.
Depends on like what
team.
teams think about his injuries and stuff.
Just happy he didn't go to the Niners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the Niners, they need offensive line help. I mean, obviously you have Trent Williams at left tackle. Other than that, you have guys that are suitable. I'm gonna take Zach Frazier out of West
Good.
Virginia.
Ooh.
Good pick.
All right.
And then there was one.
And then
Yep,
there's
that-
the receiver.
The Chiefs. Okay. Is Jordan Morgan taken?
No.
No.
Then I'm going to take him for the Chiefs.
Fitting that the last two guys are on O-line.
Yep.
That's fitting. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think the
mean,
Chiefs go O-line.
I could see it. just
I
because-
think they get
yeah.
worthy.
I think
They get worthy.
I originally had them taking Adonai Mitchell from Texas, but I think Worthy's 40 time is just so insane, and it just screams an Andy Reid pick to take someone. Wow, 6'1" can go run a 41-40. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Pair him with, Rasheed Rice and
Gets
that
back
wide
to
receiver
Tyreek
core.
Hill.
Essentially,
Yeah.
that offense becomes even more dynamic. But O-line isn't all.
Yeah. O-line's not bad.
Never
It's
They're-
not bad for the Chiefs,
Their
but
two tackles allowed the most penalties in the NFL last year.
So I could definitely see that going exactly the way it did.
wow. All right. And with that, that concludes our mock draft. I wish I could see the grade that we got, but there's an ad in the way, so I can't.
Yeah, but
But me personally, I think this is a good draft. Definitely some regrets on my part for my picks, but overall, I think this is good. This is I think this is my second or first time doing it with other people, a mock draft, because usually I go crazy with these. Like I start in November and go all the way until like April. But we have 2 minutes left, so we, for the first time, I think, have enough time for final thoughts. So, with that being said, we're going to start with Mason.
the Minnesota Vikings will trade up to number 5 overall and select J.J. McCarthy in April's draft.
Oof. I mean,
That's
possible.
Yeah,
It's possible.
Preston, thoughts?
Please no.
I mean, he fits that system. He fits the system. Play action, find the easy read, go for it.
I'm vomiting in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Agreed.
Gonna switch for my final thoughts. The subject, March is around the corner. I'm a big basketball fan. That's my first and foremost sport. March Madness coming around the corner. Early pick so far to win it all. It's not, the flashiest, but gotta go with Houston right now. Don't think there's a team in the NCAA that can defeat them right now. It's either them, and then my dark horse is Illinois.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
If the Falcons get Dallas Turner, they're winning the division, and they're going to be a top 3 seed in the NFC. I've waited like 5 years for this rebuild. I'm so excited.
Agreed.
But I can't wait to see this explosive offense.
Agreed.
I actually want to talk about hockey.
Yes. Amen.
The Wild are doing pretty decent. 6 points out of the wild card, but the schedule for the Knights and the Predators is not looking very too good for them. So I think we can sneak in. What we do, probably get bounced in the first round, but we make it. So that's all
That's
we
bold.
can.
Shout out the Wild for
We're
what they did
praying.
against the Predators
Yeah.
the last game, running the 4v3 in overtime.
Yeah, that was wild. I was like, what is he doing? And then I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
The Dan Campbell of hockey.
Yeah.
All right, and with that being said, that concludes our Wednesday edition of Hawk Talk here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy some more music.